Hello, Accelerated Math 6-7 students. We are still working in Module 3, and this is Lesson 11. So Module 3, Lesson 11 is called Distance on the Coordinate Plane, and it can be found on page 63 in my cop book. So here is page 63 in my cop book. Our title, again, is Distance on the Coordinate Plane. The goal that we're going to be looking at today is, today we will determine the distance on the coordinate plane. Very much just like the title. The question, how do you determine distance without counting? Well, counting seems to be the most logical and easy. You find a point and you start counting how far away it is. But sometimes you're going to be given distances, i.e. diagonal distances on a coordinate plane that you cannot count because you don't know how far apart the spaces are on a diagonal line. So we have to be able to figure out distance without counting. So the thing that I want you to take a look at is, it says plot and count. So we have another couple of things that we have to figure out as far as determining the distance. So everybody, you see our little coordinate plane here, the x-axis, the y-axis. You need to have those labeled, and you need to plot 0, -3. So on my coordinate plane that I'm going to draw right here, okay, have this. So this one is called the x-axis. I would like you guys to write that so that we can get in the habit of doing that so that we remember. This one is called the y-axis, and then it says plot 0, -3. So 0, so that means no right or left. So no right or left, 0, you stay put. Down 3. So you go 1, 2, 3, and you put a dot right there. So this position is called 0, -3. So the next thing that they said to plot was 0, 6. So I'm still at 0, so I didn't go left or right, but this time I'm going up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I put my point on there. So this position right here is 0, 6. So now what we have to do is we have to figure out the distance that we traveled, and we're not going to count. So this is the part that you have to be really careful. Whenever you're finding distance and you're not allowed to count, what you do is you look for the coordinates that are not the same. So on this one, the x is still 0. So we're not going to worry about x because they're exactly the same. But the coordinates that aren't the same are the y's. And so what you do is you find out the distance from those two by subtracting them. Okay? I hope you heard what I just said. By subtracting them. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start with the -3. So I have -3 minus, what does this one say up here? 6. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So all I have to do is I have to say to myself, okay, how do I find the distance between two numbers, right? So I can say that I have -3, and then I'm subtracting 6 more. And so I have to figure out what the distance would be from doing that. And so I have to say, well, if I look on a number line, here's 0. 1, 2, 3 is here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is here. And so to get from here to here, I just have to see what we're doing. So I'm taking -3 and I'm going that direction. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so I know that the distance equals 9. And if I can take the absolute value of these two amounts, if I have -3 minus 6, then I actually have a -9. And so I take the absolute value of that and I get 9. So that's kind of how we do it. I don't want you to be a stickler too much without counting, but I want you to do remember that don't focus on the amounts that are the same, focus on the amounts and what's in between them. So we're looking for what is the amount of space between here and here. And the space between there and there is 9. Okay? All right, so now let's try another one. We have the second one on here. Again, you're drawing a coordinate plane, so here's my coordinate plane. We're supposed to label it. Okay, so I have this one labeled, and I have x-axis, and I have y-axis. Okay, and then on this one, it says plot -7, so I'm going 7 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's -7, and then up 4. So I went up 4, and I'm at -7. So this plot says -7 up 4. This one says go to the right 3 and up 4. So here I am, and this one is to the right 3 and up 4. So now I'm trying to find the distance from these 2 points right here. So what you have to do is see what you got. So I start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what's the distance between those two? Okay, the distance between those two is 10. Now, if we focus on what is not the same, we have the x values are not the same this time. So we have -7 going all the way to 3. So how did we get there? How did we get from -7 to 3? What did we do? We find that it is 10. Okay? And so that's what you have to remember about that, is you focus on the coordinate that is not the same. So -7 is not the same as 3, but 4 and 4 are, so you're focusing on the x on this one. On this one, the x's were both 0, so the y was not the same this time, so you're focusing on those that you see there. So that's how you find the distance. Okay, the last thing that we need to figure out is what mathematical operation can be used to determine the distance between 2 points. And we talked about it, is it kind of rhymes with distance is the same thing as difference when you're trying to figure it out. So you're asking yourself, what is the difference between 6 and -3? Okay, if we take 6 and -3 and we subtract them, you're going to get an answer of 9. If you take the difference between a -7 and a 3, you're going to find that it's 10. So the mathematical operation that can be used to help us find distance is subtraction, because you're finding the difference between the 2 points. So you're figuring out the space that is between the 2 points, and so subtraction is that operation. So you're finding the difference between those 2 points. So distance, you always choose subtraction for difference. What is the difference between the 2 points? What is the distance between the 2 points? Okay, so that's how you find distance on a coordinate plane. Remember, find the ones that are not the same and find the difference between them, or the distance. Okay, so going back to our goal, today we will determine distance on a coordinate plane. We just did that. How do you determine the distance without counting? You subtract them. You take one number and you subtract the other number. Okay, that's it, my darlings. Have a good one.